So a little while back, I was doing some teaching, and afterwards I had a guy approach me, and he kind of challenged me on some of the way I had approached teaching, specifically some of the language that I had used while I had been teaching. And he took kind of an umbrage with the reality that multiple times in the teaching I had used the word crap. And he kind of was asking how a pastor could use language like that while they were teaching. And it kind of caught me off guard for a second. It made me think, and I think just using that example has always kind of forced me to ask the question about the nature of Christians and the language that they use. I mean, even now, some of you are sitting there thinking, what's the big deal? Like, that's not even a swear word. I thought like there'd be multiple other 4-letter words that you might have used that would have been offensive. True. And some of you are thinking, fire this guy right now. I can't even believe he would talk like that. And that's the problem, right? There isn't clarity or consensus. Language is kind of a fluid reality. It deals with time. It deals with culture. Words have etymology. It kind of moves over time. A word that might have been offensive 25 years ago is ultimately a word that might not even be offensive to anybody today. So how do you know and how do you approach language? So when you ask that question, well, you can't look for a certain rule. Can I use this word and not that word? Can I say this and not that? This is where the biblical role of wisdom comes in. Wisdom helps provide guidance to answer a question like this. And in Ephesians chapter 4 and 5, the Apostle Paul gives us some wisdom in how we think about words. In fact, he says this in Ephesians 4:29, he says, "Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as good for building up, as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear." A few verses later, he says this, "Let there be no filthiness, nor foolish talk, nor crude joking, which are out of place, but instead let there be thanksgiving." At the end of the day, you might easily say, well, then Paul says we shouldn't swear. But what words is he referencing? What is he talking about there, right? How do we know what words are okay in that lens? Well, I want to flip the thought and the question a little bit on its head. I think it's easy for us to look at this question from the negative, but I think the better point is actually to look at it from the positive. Paul says to use our words to build up to what moves towards edification and helps others, what moves towards thanksgiving. Here's the way I've helped my kids think about the question of Christians and language. Essentially, one of the principles I've taught them is Christians always use the best words. Let me say that again. Christians always use the best words. When we put it in that way, what we see is that language is meant to be used in a way to build others up, not tear down. That's why Paul says, don't use crude jokes. Be careful of the language that you use, what you laugh about, what you say, because those things that can be needlessly offensive don't actually help build things up. They actually tear things down. When we apply this wisdom or principle to language, I think it then helps give a filter in how we actually use the words that we use. Maybe take this for example. Let's look at the word damn. Again, please don't fire me. That could be used in multiple ways, right? For instance, if I said damn, which is this idea of condemning or condemnation, if I say damn human trafficking, that might be an appropriate use of the word, that God's wrath and judgment should come against one of the great evils of our day. But if I turn to a person and say, damn you, or damn it, well, am I really wanting to bring God's wrath and judgment against another person created in his image? Am I really wanting to bring the fullness of who God is in his anger against some object or trivial reality because someone cut me off in the line? No. In that sense, that word can be incredibly appropriate in one context, but not appropriate in another context. And wisdom says, use the best word based on the context that you're in. Now, I think there's certainly words that might be completely off limits and that find no context of redemptive value. But I think if we really abide by the principle that Christians use the best words, it'll help give us wisdom and guidance to think through the language that we use. But you tell me, do you think Christians can swear? Where's the line at? Leave a comment in the comment section below and let's continue this dialogue together.
Thanks for watching Everyday Theology. For more content like this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel.